Now it's time for Movie Friends with your hosts Michelle and Seth. We're talking film without pretension. We're finding cats that are unexpected. We'll watch a movie, film, or schmovie, and we want you to join our journey. So subscribe and share this podcast, or this might just be the last of the Movie Friends. We're movie friends. We want to be your movie friends.
Welcome to New Release Review, part of the Movie Friends podcast. My name is Seth. Today we're talking about One Battle After Another from 2025, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. We will be discussing spoilers throughout this entire episode, so if you have not yet seen One Battle After Another, don't listen to this. Come on. What are you thinking? Go watch the film and then come back and listen. My guest for today is Harrison Wyatt. He's an entertainment writer for Dead Talk Media and a certified Paul Thomas Anderson lover. Harrison, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to wrap my mind around an almost 3-hour film, but that's what we're going to try to do today together.
Absolutely. I'm ready to talk about it when you are.
Yeah. So you and I both saw this last night. I went at about 8:30 my time, so I got out pretty late, but I stayed up for a while thinking about the movie. I've been thinking about it all day. So these are truly, if you're listening to this, these are our initial thoughts, and my thoughts have kind of been going back and forth. Not whether or not this is a good movie. Okay, I won't hold people in suspense. I think that this is a great movie, but I don't want to say I'm wrestling with certain parts of it, but I'm definitely still chewing on the movie. But for you, how was your experience with it, and what are your initial thoughts?
Oh, I guess we could just talk about formatting and everything. I know you said you saw it at 8:30. I saw it at 9:30 my time. Got out really late. I was really upset at my theater because they did not have any other like big showtime. They only had like one showtime for the movie for like in there because we have a Cinemark close to us, so their
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing is XD. They only had like one XD showtime that was like at 5, and that was like piss poor on their part. I
Yeah,
feel, and I felt like I just feel like as monumental as a movie as this, and you're a film chain, you should know better. But
right.
nonetheless, I was mad at my friends because we all went and they didn't want to go see it in IMAX. So because they don't want to go to the boardwalk because they don't have reclining seats. I just think that me being their cinephile friend, that was just piss poor on their part.
Sure,
Because
sure, sure.
this is my favorite filmmaker, and y'all should have catered to me for once, at least
Right.
for it was worth it. But I'll talk more about it later. I'm with you. This is a great movie, but I think it is a masterpiece in its own right,
Hmm.
but it is not his best film, in my opinion.
Sure, sure.
I'll get into that
So
later.
now I had asked for guests earlier this year, and you had said, "Hey, let's do One Battle After Another together." And is that because you were anticipating this film in particular, or was it just because it's Paul Thomas Anderson?
Well, both. both.
Yeah.
I think it's both because I think Paul is like the Beyonce of filmmaking. Like he's very versatile.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, he's the Beyonce of filmmaking to me. He's very versatile. His stories are always different, whether it's big, small, whatever. At the end of the day, all his movies are great. He does not have one bad film, and and not everyone can say that.
Very few filmmakers can say that. I mean, we look at Sidney Lumet, and it's like, hey, look at all these fantastic films that he's made, and I think everyone's allowed to have one or two stinkers. That's why it's such a bummer talking about current filmmakers, because once someone makes a movie that doesn't land, we're just so unforgiving. But then you take a career like Hitchcock, and we can pull out the ones over the whole career that were awesome and just completely ignore the bad ones, and we don't hold it against them. But anyone modern, we're like, they're done, they're horrible, they're washed. It's like, calm
Yes.
down. I agree with you. I think that this is great. this is not my favorite of his. I think that he's made at least two better films than this.
Same.
And that's not to say anything bad about this one. Wow, Paul Thomas Anderson is the Beyonce of filmmaking. Is that because he's married to he has a talented spouse who is perhaps overshadowed by his career?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I just think his work stands on its own, and I just think the way that he puts a spotlight on his characters and his level of humanism, I think it's
Mm,
unmatched. I think he's always been ahead of his time, in my opinion.
mm.
Always.
He's very good at sentiment, you know? He's very good at earnestness. Like we go to Magnolia, obviously. I mean, that movie is just like dripping with sentiment and emotion, and but he pulls it off. Punch Drunk Love, the great climax of that, which I won't go into, is basically just a declaration of love and like standing in the power that love brings to you. It's absurd. It's very very silly, but he does it in a way that works. And in One Battle After Another, one of the thoughts that I had, I was like, this is such like an older dad kind of fantasy look at the world where, he's using language that is we would consider to be off color now. And it's all about you're put into this situation that you didn't want or ask for, but you're trying to do the right thing. And maybe you're a little bit washed up, but you can still rally it together and save your kid. And then I as I was finding myself thinking that, I was like, you know what, I need to kind of turn that part of my brain off, because he is an older guy now. Like we've seen PTA go from a kid filmmaker to now he's a middle-aged man, and maybe these are the things that are more on his mind, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And I'm actually thinking about that now. Because he is 55 and he was like, what? He's 20, like 24, like when he did Hard Eight, I believe. So,
Something like that, yeah.
yeah. And then that was based off of a short film from 1993 that he did. So
Hmm.
he's been, his career spanned 30 years. And I actually wrote an article about him and his films, and just just the power that he holds, and just how a lot of his films all evolve around like family and community. And I just think that that is just what makes him so infectious, because no matter what marginalized group you fall into, he always can make you root for them.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so quick, and I didn't prepare you for this. I'll give mine first. After One Battle After Another, let's just say top four PTA films. I'll go first.
Can we do the whole list actually? Because I
Go
got my
for it. I'm gonna do four because I'm lazy, but if you want to give your whole ranking, go for it. Number one for me is still There Will Be Blood. I think that that's still one of the greatest modern films ever. Maybe the best modern American film. I'll say that. I won't extend it to the entire world. And then after that would probably be maybe Phantom Thread, and then maybe this one, and then throw in Magnolia. I would say probably be my top four right now.
Okay. No, that's a very nice, that's a nice top four, because I was on Twitter earlier and I saw someone was getting cooked because they posted their PTA ranking, and they had licorice pizza before what was it? I think it was There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, and it was, I think, it was something
Hey,
else. But
different folks make the world go round, you know.
yeah, I tried to help them out because their number one and two are my number one and two. But
Oh,
anyway,
very good.
yeah, I tried to help him out. But that number 10, I have Punch Drunk Love. Number 9 is Licorice Pizza. Number 8 is Inherent Vice. But I will say, I respect the hell out of Inherent Vice a lot more because of One Battle After Another. And I think that, and that's why another thing I was kind of saying about he's the Beyonce of filmmaking, because I think Beyonce's self-titled album helped her get to that Renaissance album, as where I think that Inherent Vice helped him get to One Battle After Another. I
Sure,
I,
sure,
I
sure.
feel very resolute in saying that.
Mm.
So, but it's at 8, but it's still a great film. And number 7, I have Phantom Thread, and at number 6, I have Hard 8, and that's solely because of my number 1 and 2. I mean, I think Phantom Thread is better, but still, because there would be no 1 and 2 without Hard 8. But
Hmm.
number 5, it used to be number 4, is The Master. I think that was his most psychological film, especially at that time. Really great film, really good. This number 4 was my number 3, and it's your favorite. There Will Be Blood. I'm sorry. It's a great movie, great film, and you're right. I think at that time, modern day masterpiece, American, absolutely, it still holds a lot of weight. I'm not gonna lie. I think The Brutalist is kind of like the modern day masterpiece of this era
Oh, okay.
at this point now,
Sure,
but because that was like 20 years ago, so it's kind of comparing apples to oranges a little bit,
sure,
but
sure.
still very much generational film. Number 3 at the moment, One Battle After Another, which we'll of course get into that. Number 2, while this is my number 2, this is also my 4th favorite film of all time, this is and while it is number 2, this is PTA's best film in my opinion, and that's Magnolia. This I don't
Mm.
think I don't think he'll be able to top that. It's very spiritual to me.
Hmm.
Nothing's going to be able to top that. I don't think everything's going to be able to top that. And my number 1 is my favorite movie of all time, which is also another reason I was so eager to come on and do this podcast. Boogie Nights is my favorite film of all time. So that's my number
Oh,
1. But just because it's my number 1 does not mean that that is his best magnum opus
right.
movie.
Oh,
But
yeah. I mean,
my
yeah.
favorite of all time.
It's a sad day when someone, conflates their favorite with best.
Yes.
And yeah, my favorite movies are not the best movies ever made. Yeah, okay. On mine, I actually I want to switch out Phantom Thread for The Master. I forgot The Master. Awesome, awesome, awesome movie and great performances. Yeah, Boogie Nights would be towards the bottom of mine. But I will say everyone online was doing their whole Paul Thomas Anderson ranking, and sometimes I don't go in for those because it's like who really cares? But he's got such a short filmography, or you know, what are we talking about now? 10 movies and
10.
a couple music videos. So
Yes.
it's easy to do, but in going through it and thinking about each film, what I said with mine was he really doesn't have any bad movies. There are movies that I don't like as much. Like, Inherent Vice would be really towards the bottom for me. Boogie Nights would be towards the bottom. But they're not bad movies. They all have great performances, and I think that's one of the strengths. He is able to get great performances out of every single movie. Obviously, he's a student of film himself, and so he knows how to put together good images and sequences. But for me, it's the performances, and One Battle After Another. I, I don't know that anyone in this movie wasn't great. I mean, I'm a big fan. One of my biggest gripes, and I won't gripe about this movie the whole time, but one of my biggest gripes is I love Regina Hall. Like, Regina Hall is just such an exciting actor for me. Um, I really wish that she was in this way, way, way more than she is. But Del Toro is doing really fun stuff. Uh, the whole time I was watching him, I was like, I don't know if I should be scared of him or laughing at him, as Sensei Sergio. DiCaprio is great. Sean Penn is great. Chase Infinity is great. Teyana Taylor. Everyone is really, really good at this. Yeah, and I was laughing at this movie. I was
Yes.
laughing so much, and oftentimes I was the only person laughing in the theater, which kind of made me feel bad. But to me, this is at least half and half, comedy and then drama. How did you find the humor in this? Did it land for you?
And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Y'all need to go see this movie because me and my friends went late last night. We were the only people in the theater. That's my
Oh,
impact. Y'all need to go and see. People go see this movie. Please do. It's one for the books. Go see it. But yes, it was only us. I was the only one laughing. They were enjoying it, but they were looking at me. But I found it funny because I mean, like, I feel like there's a humor, especially with Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't think I've laughed at Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie since what was it? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that was a minute
yeah,
ago. So
yeah.
I just think that he had a lot of great comedic chops, but this movie just has a lot of great comedic chops. Period. Because a lot of his films are not comedic in a way. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really find his films to be really comedic. I think they have comedic moments or they have scenes where you'll just be like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
But I think that this was really a comedic moment, but it's the way this film balances that out. And for me, this movie was very personal and very fast paced. It felt this I kind of felt very reminiscent of watching Uncut Gems with this. I don't know if you
Oh,
felt that.
interesting.
Yeah, but I felt that because it just felt like everything was just like it felt like we were. Well, I hate to get political, but this is a political film,
Yeah,
so
of course. You can talk about whatever you want.
yeah, it just feels like we're seeing this stuff every day, but we're put, and it's like he's putting us in it, and that's what Paul Thomas Anderson does so well. He puts us in certain situations to see it, feel it,
Hmm.
and come to a different conclusion with it and look at it through a different lens. And the film really makes you do that. And I think for me, I just think that he did it in a way that didn't come off preachy,
Hmm.
and I think everyone should adhere to it.
Definitely, and I can see, I can definitely see, and this is one of the things that I have kind of been struggling with the film myself. Is it's almost like, okay, is this stuff too subtle? Is it not preachy enough? Is it overt enough for us to understand what he's saying? And I think that it is. I think everything's there. I mean, uh, ultimately, I think the movie boils down to that there are very rich, powerful white men who will literally burn society down in order to protect their status with their super special club, because that's all that matters to them. And, with Sean Penn as Colonel Lockjaw, he his mission is to find Willa, determine if it is his daughter, and then if so, destroy the evidence. That's it. That's the thrust of our antagonist's journey, right? Is I must cover this thing up because if my super cool friends find out about it, they won't be my super cool friends anymore.
Mm.
And we see how enticed he is by their fellowship and their acceptance, which prior to this character that we're introduced to, you would maybe not think that he would be the type of guy to be like, oh, yes, I want to be in your super secret club. Oh, please, please, please. And I like how they establish his character first, and we see him as very complex prior to any of that um, um, initiation type talk. So that when that happened, I was like, wow, this is quite odd. But anyway, over the course of his journey, we see him. Uh, they're arresting tons of migrants, and that's all
Mm.
just a cover. They're causing a riot in the streets, and that's just a cover. Like all of the things that we are seeing and experiencing in our country right now is all just to cover up this one thing. And I mean, we know how long movies are in development for, right? So this movie's coming out in September of 2025, and back when this was in development and he's writing it and they're filming it, could they anticipate that right now our current administration is literally like burning the world down to cover up and protect people's secret doings. It's insane. It's crazy how these two things are coinciding, both in our real world politics and then in the film.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I think one thing for me is seeing how he actually did kind of need seek that approval. Well, Sean Penn seek that approval from them, and basically died at their hands
Yeah.
trying to climb all the way to the top of the mountain, only to wake up from something that was never there for you, even though you do have a certain level of currency that others don't. But
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't for you. And the thing about that, that's another thing too. If I had to say two movies to watch that are Paul Thomas Anderson's before this one, I'm always going to say at this point when it comes to this film is Inherent Vice and Magnolia, because one thing that Magnolia always said and stood on is you may be done with the past, but the past is not through with you, and that is
Mm,
this movie personified,
right.
basically.
Right. Right. Yeah. The time period that we start in and how it's coming back for these two different men and the one daughter that they have in common. So it's literally like, the sins of the fathers is being revisited on this child. I mean, she's only 16. She's 16, which is just crazy and outrageous. And through their own actions, they're reaping the effect of what they did. It's good. It's very well structured movie. And oh, hold on. And going back to the humor and that whole, old rich white guy. I mean, my God, when they had oh, what is his name? Let's see here. I want to get
Tony
his
Goldwyn.
name right. No, let's see. Kevin Teague,
Okay.
as the older man who can barely like talk, right? And he's seemingly maybe the head of this thing, or at least a really important part of it. I was like, again, what a great picture of our current day, where it's like these old people past their point of expiration perhaps are running things and calling the shots. But that whole white supremacy, I was laughing at everything. I mean, it is like scary and kind of chilling, but just Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Hail
Yeah.
Saint.
Yeah, that was a
I was
lot.
laughing.
Yeah, because like literally, like you get you get like they're playing "Hark the Heralds," and you're going into like this
Hmm.
house. This lady's like asking if he wants to make like if she wants him to make him like pancakes or something. Only for him
Hmm.
to go downstairs. They have a secret tunnel, and it basically leads to just like this weird ass place. And like that movie Barbarian, like you just go down this freaking tunnel and seeing what's happening, only to go into a room. And it's giving like founding fathers of the Confederacy Christian nationalist teas. And it is very chilling, but that's also the essence of PTA, because that is one of the biggest needle drops in this film, and then maybe one of his biggest needle drops ever. Because I did not think I did not think it would fully go there, but I also feel
Mm.
like a lot of people are saying that PTA is calling out a lot of stuff, but I don't think he's calling out a lot of stuff. I really think he's calling people up. And I think there's a difference between calling people out and calling people up. And I think he's doing it in more so a peaceful way, but also just showing things blatantly as they are. And I just think
Mm.
that's also a thing of beauty about One Battle After Another.
Yeah, I mean, clearly this, like you said, this is a political film, and I think just today, Armand White was like, "Oh, we can no longer deny the politicization of Hollywood," and it's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, politics have been in movies forever. We're all recently talking about and celebrating, the performance of Robert Redford in All the President's Men. Like, please, but anyway,
Yeah, and also
um,
Eddington too. Like Eddington was also Eddington was probably more so. Wait, no. I feel like this movie is probably more so today, but Eddington was basically 5 years ago. So you know
Right.
what I mean. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, politics has always been in film, and even Jordan Peele even brought that. I think he ushered in a new level of that with Get Out and all his
Oh yeah.
films. But at the end of the day, like politics has always been in film. I don't, I feel like sometimes I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes on the internet, sometimes people say stuff and they don't really know what they're saying, or they're just saying it for like engagement. Because
Yeah.
like, I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peele, he did something really interesting with Get Out, where horror also has always been political and commenting on, large people groups, whether it's through zombies or outsiders, whether that's through vampires or monsters or whatever. But Peele, I feel like he really, it's like he showed that genre film can be just as classy and interesting, but then also have some zany elements in Get Out. Like whenever everybody talks about Get Out, they always forget about the final like 15-20 minutes where it really just kind of goes crazy, balls to the wall, nutso. And it's like he didn't really shy away from any of that stuff. So anyway, Peele's great. Okay, one battle after another. I guess we'll start with Leonardo. Leonardo DiCaprio, who I guess is the lead of this film. I don't know that this film, to me, this really felt like an ensemble. And obviously, we have a large cast, but I felt like this was not just his story. Like, it's Chase Infinity's story, Leo's story, and Sean Penn's story. Like, those three mainly. And then you break off into like Teyana Taylor and then some of the supporting characters. But
Mm.
we'll start with Leo. He's top billed. Why not? How did you feel about Leonardo DiCaprio as Bob Ferguson, aka Ghetto Pat?
Yeah, definitely ghetto. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm, no, I'm kidding. But I think you know, I think the one nice thing I can say about his character was how much he loved Willow.
Hmm.
I think that was the big takeaway for me with his character because I think he's lazy, but
Mm.
like and then I think he does think I think things come as a spectacle to him. I always felt that way because he was just making like just making a big deal of everything. Even when he was like a revolutionary, it just felt like revolutionary. I said revolutionary, revolutionizing situations. I think he just I don't think he really took it seriously like that, and that could be that could pose a problem. And I know that he just like Sean Penn, kind of where Daniel Plainview and Daniel Day Lewis and what's his name, Paul Dano as Eli Sunday. They're kind of like the same in this movie as well in a sense because
Interesting.
they're both looking for a community, but they're kind of all like on the different sides of the coin. They're both
Right.
like out of their league and he's just doing it as a spectacle and I just he just felt out of place, but I think that's the essence of it too because at the end of the day one thing he is good at is just I guess being a dad and just being like sentimental. I think that's kind of the best thing he's good at, but he's good at it in like a different way, and he's just very eccentric, very one of the more eccentric leads. I'm
Hmm.
still the jury's still out on him a little bit for me at the moment because he really wasn't he may have been the lead, but he wasn't who I was focused on throughout this movie. He wasn't the main focus for me. He was hilarious, but he wasn't the focus.
Right. I think that I'm right there with you because to me, uh, Teyana Taylor as Perfidia Beverly Hills, she's the leader. She's a leader. He's the bomb guy, right? So if we're taking this as, let's say that this story remained just with the French 75 revolutionaries. You wouldn't make a movie about the bomb guy. You'd make a movie about the leader, and then there are these interesting cast of characters that are around them. But when she decides, this life is not for me, like I'm not a mom, I don't want to be stuck here. Now he's forced to become the leader and become the lead, and he's just not very good at it. Like, yes, he does love his daughter, and when she needs to, we can see that he has actually trained her and prepared her. I mean, when she goes in at whatever that 1776 compound was, that was also like bone chilling stuff. I was like, oh my God, here are these guys who are just out in the desert, totally willing to, murder a teenage girl and drop her body in the water, presumably. Um, but when she has to snap into action there, she does it, and she does it really well. And it's like, okay, so Bob has kind of, done his job as a dad and as this ex-revolutionary guy. But yeah, he's goofy. He's so goofy, and I think he's meant to be goofy in contrast with Sean Penn as Colonel Lockjaw. uh, I don't even know how to really begin talking about Colonel Lockjaw. Um, you know, when we're introduced to him, this is
Yeah, I know.
this was such a wild character introduction, and we knew that he'd be playing like a military figure of some type, and perhaps not a good guy. And then when we're introduced to him and she makes him stand up, I was laughing, and then I was like, oh my God, wait, did he like trick us with all of the trailers? Like, what movie is this about to be? But yeah, I think Leo's goofiness contrasts with Sean Penn's ultra serious. I mean, that walk, I wonder if the direction from PTA or the inspiration for the performance from Sean Penn was, this character should walk like he always has a stick up his butt. Because that's what it looked like.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I thought, which it did come true. From what I remember from early readings about the film, was that Sean Penn was going to play like this ultra racist, militarist type character, which we kind of did get that to a
Mhm.
degree.
Mhm.
But it also felt like he was someone that needed to be tamed. Kind of, another film, The Master.
Mhm.
Joaquin Phoenix's character Freddie in that film needed to be tamed. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's another thing too. Some of Paul Thomas Anderson's characters need to be tamed, even when they have power. So I think that was really just another that was just displaying that a display of that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good performance. Sean Penn, I'm like 50-50 on him
What?
sometimes.
Oh, for
Oh
real?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that he has given really good performances, and then there's other times where I've watched him and I'm like, yeah, this is okay. This is all right. But I definitely put this in the good performances and funny. I mean, almost everything he said and did. When he started just slobbering all over that comb in the elevator to comb his hair, I was like, oh my God, like, what is wrong with this guy? But yeah, and then so did you have a sense that she was his daughter?
I definitely kind of suspect that would be his daughter, because some things just didn't make sense. But I will
Mm,
say what did make sense is that I do think that his scenes with Chase Infinity were amazing. I think those were the highlight of the movie for me. And I think I'm being a little modest, so I'm gonna get out of that modest mindset. And I'm gonna say that Sean Penn was probably the highlight of this movie for me, because I
wow.
was familiar with his game a little bit, but I wasn't familiar with his game and what he was gonna be packing in this
Right.
movie. And
Right.
to be fair, and I know this isn't an award season podcast episode.
Yeah,
Kind of scared.
we're an anti-awards podcast.
Okay, I'm sorry. I kind of feel like he could win. I think this was really good work. I'm kind of scared for Stellan Skarsgård now, because this was really good. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. It really was.
absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I can't remember if he has won or if he has, how long it's been. since he's won, but definitely this would be like a late career high where, the awards love that stuff. It's like, oh, Sean Penn's back. Oh my gosh. But he
Yeah.
was, I mean, genuinely, I really thought that he kind of disappeared into this character, and he's doing a full character, body language, the little ticks with his mouth when he would just be sitting there silent, and you can tell that like his mind is working and his mouth is kind of moving uh, as he's thinking. It was all fascinating. It all really worked for me. I guess, yeah. I don't know if I would say that he was the highlight, but he was great. He was awesome.
Well, he was a
Uh,
surprising highlight, a surprise, more of a surprise for sure.
yes, I will definitely say that. Of going into it, I was like, oh, kind of hope Sean Penn isn't like in this as much. And then he was in it a lot, and it was awesome. So yeah, definitely the surprise. Chase Infinity as Willa Ferguson. This is her first film role, I believe.
Yes, first thing.
Um, yeah, never would have known. Never would have known. She was great, and I'm curious to know if she actually has any type of martial arts background, because when we're introduced to her as an adult, or not an adult, as an older kid, she's doing the movements for her test, and I was like, oh, I wonder, like, for an actor, can you just learn how to do that?
Yeah, 'cause
Because
that formation was good.
yeah, and she really sold it. And then when the sensei says, "Do it again, but this time breathing," she does the same thing, but it takes on a whole new feel, and it did feel like a separate thing. So, uh, but anyway, how did you feel about her?
I loved her. I really really loved her character. I think she stood on her own. I think that I think she's kind of ooh. You know what? Because she is biracial. I think
Hmm.
she was suffering from an identity crisis, and I think biracial people do suffer from identity crisis. But I think she was suffering from an identity crisis because no one was ever really truthful with her, and I
Mm,
think there's a beauty in that because, and that's why you say him and Maya Rudolph, being in a relationship. I think that does influence a lot of his storytelling sometimes, and I think that this is one of the movies where that definitely heavily influences that because
mhm,
he is a girl dad and even though his daughter's like a fourth black at this point since his partner's biracial, and then his daughter's still black and he still has
mhm.
to navigate that. So I think that was shown a lot through this film, but I love the lens that he had shown that through with her because like I said, no one was truly honest with her, and I just felt like that there was just one battle after another with her identity, and the way that she just carried herself and always looked out for herself was really, really beautiful. Because she had always heard stories about her mom, and of course, she knew her dad, but he wasn't even really her father, but he's her father. You know, so yeah,
Definitely. And I mean, again, like, back to what I said earlier about, like, oh, you could kind of look at this and say this is a bit of a sentimental, hokey feel of a dad reflecting on his life, and we can, you get the sense of Paul Thomas Anderson coming to terms with, like, hey, my kids are born to famous parents. They didn't ask for that, and they're in this life now because of our decisions and the actions that we've taken. And does that put them in danger, or does that make them weird? We see Willa, she has to hide having a phone because her dad doesn't let her have a phone. And there's the great line in the car with Bob when he's talking about, he's like, I can't do her hair. Like, I don't know how to do her hair. So I wonder how much of that part of it is Paul Thomas Anderson kind of working out his own relationship with his kids, and the effect of being the child of another person. Unfortunately, we all have to deal with the decisions that our parents have made. It's just that, Willa's is a little bit more extreme.
Yeah, and I didn't. I just now thought about it too. The film is basically about her growing up without her mom. Basically, I had to. I just remembered that. I remember. Maya Rudolph. Her mom is Minnie Riperton, and she passed away. From cancer at a very. When she was very young. So I can't help but think is maybe this autobiographical to her to a degree too.
Mm,
There's just like so many facets you can look at this film from his personal heritage with his
right,
family. So
right.
you know. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention this is such a silly MVP for me, but Willa's friend who Bob like just harasses. I loved him in that scene, but then when when he's being questioned about Will, just like kind of the blank stare that he's giving every line he delivered, I was like, this kid is my favorite. It's my favorite part of this movie. I liked all of Willa's friends, but that guy in particular, I
Yeah,
can't even remember what his name was.
I think it was Pluto or something.
Bluto. Yes, yes.
Yeah, you know what's so funny about that? Since that's allegedly her boyfriend or her date or whatnot, he is very much seeing him in that scene. I could see why that he very much is like Leonardo DiCaprio's character, reincarnated,
Mm,
kind of. So
yes, good point.
I could see why she was into that.
Right. Yeah, very good point. Yes, I just found it. Carlos McFarland as Bluto. Great
Yeah.
job, Carlos. You were very, very funny. Benicio del Toro as Sensei Sergio. How'd you feel?
Loved him. Ooh. See, the thing that's so great about his character is I know we talked about subtle. There were some scenes where he was very subtle. I was scared because he was working around the clock
Yeah.
while Leonardo was trying to get that phone to work. He was moving circles around him. He was gathering his family, telling them, "Hey, do this, do that, do this." He had it all figured out. But I was also scared a bit because it felt like everyone told Leonardo DiCaprio to just kind of stay at a certain pace, but he was always like on the up and up because he was literally high throughout this whole movie, so he couldn't like level it out. But
Hmm.
but pretty much every person of color told him to just how to move, but he just was not moving. Like he just like was not listening. So it was kind of annoying how he was, just moving, but just seeing how everyone moved around him, especially Benicio del Toro, it was just so beautiful. And for him to be like a sensei and everything, it just felt very spectacle heavy and just hilarious. Like he was just really, really great. And I hope that he can get some awards love too.
Yeah, it was funny watching him in this. After watching him in the Wes Anderson film, The Phoenician Scheme, this year, I was like, wow, Benicio del Toro is actually really, really good at like one long take, a lot of precise, marks that he has to hit, funny little comments along the way. I was dying. Like everything with Sensei Sergio, I just and he does seem to be kind of like all knowing. Like Bob shows up and he doesn't even know all the different pieces, but he's immediately like, Bob, we got to go. Bob, like you said, kind of like directing him, guiding him. And then when we get to his residence and we just keep going through like room after room after room, I was like, how many rooms deep does this apartment go?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, literally like giving him the boot out of the car when he's too scared to jump himself. Um, but I really didn't know. Um, Not that I thought that he was, secretly like a bad character, but I didn't know really what to make of him. And now on this side of the film and having seen it all, I'm like, oh, okay, he is really mostly just a comedic character. But in that, like you said, he is making all these plans. Like how they got Bob out of prison was unreal. Like it was so smart and well planned and executed. It was like, oh my gosh, like this guy, he's a true sensei.
Yeah. Yeah, very clever, and it was just that relationship was really really fun. I thought there was going to be more to it, but I kind of liked that there wasn't more to it, and that was like just his daughter's sensei, and they just have that relationship. And that's another thing. Sense community with this movie. That was a level of community. He didn't have to help him out the way that he did, but knowing his daughter and everything, community is really important, and that's what that served for us. And he
Mm-hmm.
literally went to jail behind him, so community.
Yep,
Literally.
yep, yep. Yeah, I mean, getting the skateboarding crew together, it was great, great orchestration, and just a great whirlwind character. So Teyana Taylor as Perfidia Beverly Hills. Now, I have not yet seen 1001, which I
Oh,
know everyone says is a must see movie.
yes.
Uh, so this was I think this was the first time that I've seen her in anything.
Wow.
Uh, Blown away. I absolutely blown away. But yeah, how did you feel about her performance?
Yes, Teyana Taylor she is the force multiplier of this movie. This is her movie. This does not work without her. She's pulling all the strings, and the movie literally ends with her. It begins and ends with her.
Mm-hmm.
This is literally challengers, but on like freaking steroids or like
Yep.
methods and
Wow.
shit. Like
Yeah. Great comparison. Yeah.
this is definitely, this is all her. And she's fierce, she's committed, she's independent, she's just a, like lightning in a bottle. Like this is literally like, yeah, 1001 prepared her for this.
Mm.
Literally. That's why
Mm.
yeah, that's why you need to watch it, because this is how she got that. And I think there's just a lot more to be desired from her as an actress. And I would love to see Paul work with her again, but in a more in a bigger capacity.
Right.
That's what I really want to see, because like I said, she is this movie. And I'm not going to say this movie kind of it loses its stride without her, because it doesn't, but something was definitely missing not seeing her in again. I just think there was something that was very missing about that. But
Mm.
she is just amazing. Like what she does with her screen time, it was just amazing. And I don't think that there's another character that Paul has created that's kind of like this. So I'm very proud of that. And I
Yeah.
hope she gets nominated, and I hope she wins, because to be in that movie that long and to still be wanted and still kind of somewhat be needed in a certain degree, but the film still does well. I think, you know, I think she deserves the win. And she had a great monologue at the end, which was really sad but beautiful. And like I said, it closes the movie. She does what she needs to do.
Yeah. I mean, lightning in a bottle is a great way of describing it. I love the challengers comparison. If you're gonna have, Cleopatra, and you're gonna have this woman that a war is fought over, right? It's got to be a special performance, and I feel like she is just like power. Like wherever she directs her power to, that thing succumbs, whether it's Bob or Colonel Lockjaw or all of the things that they're doing, in their revolutionary acts. Um, it's pretty amazing. We get that the bank scene. I can't remember the other character's name, but she's the one who stands up and she's telling everybody, like kiss the carpet. That was a great speech too. She mentions in that, who was that?
She was
Jungle
act
Jungle Pussy.
Yes, and
Yeah,
some of that. Have you seen that movie? Support the Girls, the one
I
with
have.
Regina.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, she was actually in that
Mm-hmm.
apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
She in her speech while she's on the bank counter, she says, "This is set it off." And in
yeah,
the theater, I went like this. I put my finger up in the air and I was like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't
She
know if anyone else in the theater has seen that movie, but I was like,
right.
that's awesome. That's really great.
Right. And she had a moment with Teyana Taylor where they were quoting The Color Purple, All My Life I Had to Fight or something like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was so funny. Like I really I really enjoyed that character so much. I just enjoyed just the camaraderie of that they all had, and just the comedic timing was really good. And the
Yeah.
thing is that what's felt so different about their stunts and everything, it all felt like, even though that one did end abruptly, it felt like they really weren't really trying to harm anyone, which felt really good. It felt like they were really doing it to make a statement and just, you know, just, deaden, just deaden fraudulent activities, or what they
Hmm.
deemed as, injustices to that affect many. So,
Hmm.
that was a beautiful thing too.
Yep. So in that scene, her speech is cut off because uh, Perfidia shoots somebody. She shoots a guard, and it's so shocking. And even though we've seen them commit acts of violence up to this point, this just feels so different. It's a black security guard, and that also
Yeah.
kind of gave me pause. And I was like, oh, like something has changed in this character, or we've only seen her in this charismatic role, and now we're seeing like kind of her untethered raw power and like what she really is capable of. And it I love that they include that whole thing, and even her abandoning her family, because it makes her not this like monolithic perfect woman ideal she's a complex character. But yeah, okay, so I would maybe say that this is the performance of the movie for me.
Mm.
And she's not in it that much, but it's kind of like like Heath Ledger, Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight. When you watch it, you're like, oh, I wish he was in this more. I wish he was in this more. Or Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, and then you see like how short of a time they're actually on screen. But I think with powerful performances like this, it's actually the scarcity that makes it stand out for us more. And perhaps this character wouldn't have been able to sustain that, like the height that we feel coming off the screen for the entire movie. So yeah, I mean, she she kills this movie. She kills this movie. She elevates it. It's absolutely incredible. Is there anyone else that you wanted to talk about in particular? Any of the
Oh
other
yeah,
actors?
Deandra, Regina Hall.
Oh yes, 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 of course. Yeah, Regina Hall, Deandra. Again, I just kind of wish that she was in this a little bit more, but she's it's so sad. Like I feel like she's one of the more tragic characters in the movie because she's burdened with like saving this girl and then telling her that her mom isn't some kind of hero, and then she gets captured herself, and it's like, she wouldn't have been captured if she didn't stick out for them. And yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, and I will say, I think that my only issue with the movie is probably her character, in a sense, because
Hmm.
I'm like, did she go to jail? Did she die? Like, what happens with her? I think that's probably like my only question.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, that's my only question. But I did love her character, and I will say, even though I wish she was in it more, she was in it a lot more than I thought she was going to be.
Mm.
So I'm grateful. I wish she had an Oscar moment because she didn't have it, but at the end of the day, she's great in this film, and I honestly thought she was going to be the girl's mother. Like when they were like when they were getting this film, developing it, I always thought she was going to be Teyana
Mm.
Taylor's character, but that's not the case. And she still had such a pivotal role in her scene in the bathroom with Chase Infinity. That was the tension was like, ooh, that was
Hmm.
very important. That was very well done, because we didn't even get a trace of her coming in there and everything. And then, finding out the code, the code that they use. And she's saying,
Hmm.
my dad says that someone says this code, that means you're a very important person. And she just knew to go with her. And I just would have loved to have seen a little bit more of their dynamic a bit. Because honest, I feel like their dynamic could have been kind of like close to what Delroy Lindo's dynamic was with Miles Canton in Sinners. I feel like that dynamic
Mm.
could have been the same a bit.
Right, right, right,
It
right, right.
wasn't, and I think that was kind of a miss, a miss a bit. But at the end of the day, I think that just that scene alone was really good, and I think that had a lot of people fueled up. And I know that it's a scene that I've been thinking about for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome. And I hope that this movie introduces a new generation to Gil Scott Heron through their use of the revolution will not be televised in all of their codes. That would be good. Yeah, Regina Hall already had an Oscar moment in Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, but no one
yeah,
saw that movie, unfortunately.
yeah.
I guess just some random stuff. The comedic writer Jim Downey, who most recently co-wrote Happy Gilmore 2, um, which was actually a movie that I surprisingly enjoyed. He
Okay.
he plays one of the white supremacy guys. And as I was watching, I was like, "Is that Jim Downey?" uh, Leonardo falling off the roof. I was shocked. I like screamed out loud in the theater because I was like, "Oh, I guess this is how he dies." But he was okay. Okay, let's talk about this car chase.
Oh, can before we get into because I knew that's coming. Can I
Yeah.
ask? Did you see this in like IMAX or VistaVision? Regular?
No, unfortunately, because of work, I just saw it in a regular old theater.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Same.
I felt like I was gonna throw up. So I can't imagine seeing this like in IMAX or something. It was really really well shot. So yeah, towards the end of the film, we get this big climactic chase where we have Willa is in one car, Colonel Lockjaw is in another, and then Bob is in this other car. Magically, they all just have the amount of gas that they need, but it's a movie. We'll let that go. But this was great. I thought that this was just really, really well done. I cheered. I was the only person who cheered. At one point, we see Willa, who's being chased by the other very powerful, Christmas Adventure Club white supremacy guy. And due to the hills in the desert, we can't really get a good sense of how close they are to each other. And then Bob's crappy little car comes around the corner, and I like cheered in the theater, and no one else did.
I was happy too.
uh, but yeah, I thought that this was a good sequence. What'd you think?
I loved it. I don't. Fast and the Furious could not do this.
Nope, nope. Precisely right. Precisely right.
Like this feels like all natural, and I like I said, this is just PTA unlocking a new facet for himself. Like literally, just going up and down, up and down. Like I was like, ooh, what's going? My friend was looking at me like, oh, you really into this? I was like gnawing on like like a candy wrapper so bad because I'm just like, oh my god, what is happening? Because it's like just going up and down these hills, peaks and valleys. Like it was just beautiful, and then just the scenery. It was really beautiful, and I think that everyone now when everyone goes up or down a hill, everyone is going to be able to reminisce about this scene because there's just like nothing like it. Because Fast and the Furious really cannot do that at
Mm-mm.
all. So it was just so beautiful to see and just the tension and just root and to actually just root for a character and then to see her dad come up with an assist later on. Like it was just a beautiful thing to see.
It was such an interesting way to do a car chase because we've seen how many car chases, right? And hey, they're all well done by professionals. They're all thrilling. We love a car chase, of course. But this was more a game of like peekaboo, hide and seek. Yes, they're on straightaways. You're in the desert. So how do you make that suspenseful? Well, you can zoom in on their faces while they're driving as fast as they can, but there's nothing very suspenseful about just a car getting closer to another car. But with the way that they filmed it, and I don't want to say that they necessarily edited it out of sequence, but it kind of felt like that. Like you weren't sure who you were following at any given time, and you really lost your sense of place. It was just very creative way of doing a car chase, and ultimately they use that facet of it, the hiding and then the revealing, in how she gets the best of this guy. And I've driven down roads that are like this, and it's very scary. And it is like, oh, I don't know what's coming up around the next corner or up over the next crest. Yeah, it was great. I will say I didn't love the ending
Mm.
where it's like, okay, now I'm like a revolutionary now, and we're gonna play American Girl, taking selfies, and it was just a little too like happy.
My
Maybe I'm
friend
a miserable person, but
friend literally said that the ending gave Disney tease. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, what are you talking about? But I guess now that you're saying that too, I guess I kind of get it. But at the end of the day, I think, for me, you know, Teyana Taylor having her Oscar moment with the
mm,
monologue and everything, and then just closing us out, I think that was the highlight for me. I think that that was good for me, and that's what I took away from it more than anything.
yeah. I'm not gonna say that it was a bad ending. I'll say that I didn't love it, but that could also be because I'm just a miserable person. And, I was like, well, I guess it all just worked out. I did, however, absolutely love Colonel Lockjaw just being gassed and then burned. And uh,
Woo!
I was like, yeah, these people have no allegiance other than to, their ideals and themselves. And yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, they got him.
Hmm.
And
It
my
was so
thing,
fun. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry, I'm just gonna say my thing is I wouldn't have been caught dead after I already got shot in the face. I wouldn't be caught dead going around them. Should I would have turned into a revolutionary myself at that point. At that point,
Yeah. Well, hey, if Tiana Taylor couldn't turn him, I don't think anything could.
yeah,
Before we wrap up, is there
yeah.
anything else that you wanted to mention?
I know we could briefly talk about PTA and just his films in general a bit, but before we get to that though, do you think that this is a masterpiece that everyone has been hyping it up to be, or do you think that they were exaggerating a bit?
It's hard for me to say because I really like when a movie comes out and everyone likes it.
Hmm.
Earlier this year, Sinners came out and it was just universally loved and people had a good time with it. They laughed, they cried, they felt something. Everyone is giving it high praise and high rating. And it was nice to be in on that wave of things. Sometimes with a movie like, it seems like it's always like Avatar. Everyone is like, the Avatar movies are life changing. They're so wonderful. It's the reason movies were invented. And I sit there and I'm like, I'm outside of that, and I'm looking in and seeing everyone having a good time, and I want to be in there, but I just can't get there. With this one, I do feel that a little, but I don't know that I can say that everyone is like exaggerating. Um, I don't think this is his best film. But if
Same.
everyone is going to the theater and seeing it and having a really great time and saying 10 out of 10, 5 stars, wonderful, the movie of the century, sure, go for it. I'm not mad.
Yeah, I think this movie is definitely a hit,
Yeah.
and I think it's definitely top five of his. Definitely a new era, great era for him, and a great outlook. But to say that, I just can't say this better. Now, I'm with not. I know a lot of people probably say that they're exaggerating. They think it's better than There Will Be Blood. I do think it's better than There Will Be Blood. I do think that, for me at least. But to say it's better than Magnolia, I could never say that. I could never say that.
Yeah, and I think that it does also just
come down to every person's personal preference. Like,
Yeah.
I think that um, I think The Master is a better movie than Magnolia, but that's me, you know. So I do think it's important though, you know, that for a moment we are all, or for a moment the majority of people are on the same page that we're glad that an original film was made. Yes, this is an adaptation, but this is not franchise movie. It's a filmmaker that we all enjoy, and he hasn't lost steam. He's still creating things in a creative way. We're seeing things that we've seen before, but it feels fun and exciting and great performances. As long as he keeps giving us great performances and a good story, I'm totally there.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of Magnolia, I think about William H Macy in
Mm,
that bar just acting up a storm. Simply sitting there, and he's very good at putting actors on display and letting them do their thing.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad you actually brought him up because I actually saw his character in Magnolia a lot in Colonel Lockjaw.
Interesting.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that.
Yeah.
So that was a great character to bring up.
He has a good way of writing pathetic characters a lot, like showing the pathetic side of people. And I thought that Lockjaw, for all of his skill and high rank in life, you're still a man who's knocking on the door of a woman who won't answer, and you're so his only response is to knock the door down. Like, that's pathetic. Let's sure, of course there's a display of power and strength, but you're still someone who's very much insecure and under the spell of another person. So
Mhm.
uh yeah. I think that Lockjaw will go down as one of PTA's best characters,
Yeah. Yeah.
along with Perfidia Beverly Hills.
Yeah, those two. And like I said, yeah, you know what? The more I think about it, this is one of those Killers of the Flower Moon situations in a way.
Hmm.
Because Leonardo DiCaprio is kind of taking the back seat here a little bit. While even though he has the more screen time, it's about his love interest
Right.
and not, and let's be real, Robert De Niro was his uncle in that film, but it's his nemesis in this. It's
Right.
literally them overtaking him again, but still he's just the lead in this case. So
Yeah, that's also. Yeah. Hey, you're very good at the comparisons.
thank you.
Do you have anything else?
Watch Paul Thomas Anderson's films. Watch his films, you guys. I mean, he is literally the best. I think he's better than Scorsese and like some of them. I know
Wow.
that's a nice. I know a lot of people, but
Sure.
all his films are great. He takes the time to do his movies. It doesn't even matter if it's 5 years or whatnot. He really takes time, and he loves people. It doesn't matter what it is. But I guess in closing, I would ask just two questions. And what do you want from his next movie? And who would you want to see in his next movie?
Oh, very interesting. Um, I would love. Okay, right off the top of my head, I want to see him do an inversion of Punch Drunk Love. So shorter runtime, romance, little bit of comedy, starring Tim Robinson.
Okay. Okay. So okay.
Uh, yeah, like he's creating these large epics, and my desire for all of these filmmakers, the big American filmmakers, Scorsese and Spielberg, and Nolan's not fully American, but he makes American movies, is for them all to scale back and kind of say, like, okay, yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson, he's made this epic, and the last few movies have been largely epic in their own way, right?
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Licorice Pizza, I think, is like an epic of childhood, of growing
Hmm.
up.
Okay.
We don't have massive battles and whatever, but it's a sprawling film with a lot of different characters and time. And what can PTA make with $30 million and 90 minutes
Hmm.
now? Because we saw him do Hard Eight, right? And then we
Mhm.
saw him do Punch Drunk Love earlier in his career. Those are both great movies. Now that he has all of the experience and the knowledge and the know-how and the wisdom of old age, I would love to see Spielberg make a $20 million movie. What would it be? And would it be the best movie ever? But yeah, what about you? What are you hoping to see?
Ooh, I would love for him to do. I would love for him to go back to his San Fernando Valley roots. He already gave us kind of like a '70s, '80s movie. I want to. I like his movies when they're very soundtrack heavy. So I want
Hmm.
something very soundtrack heavy. Um, I definitely want a big like Boogie Nights, Magnolia ensemble piece. Maybe something. See, that's kind of hard. Maybe he should do actual dysfunctional family,
Hmm.
or maybe, oh my God, actually, since we're talking about marginalization, he probably could benefit from doing an LGBTQ movie at this point.
Sure,
I
sure.
think he could really benefit from that. I think that it would be really beneficial for him at this point. Um, I would love to see him bring back Julianne Moore. I've always said that her best work was with him. Um, I want him to bring back Melora Walters. I think she's
Oh,
another
sure.
one of his MVPs. Period. I would also love to see, of course, Teyana Taylor, Regina Hall back. I definitely want to see those two back. I'm talking about all the women, honestly. Yeah, William H. Macy would be great to have back. I guess Cooper Hoffman, because the Long Walk was
Oh,
great.
sure.
And you know what? Even bring on John David Washington. I said John David Washington. Oh my God, what was the guy? David
Hey,
Johnson.
he can be in there too. I like him. I know
Yes,
people don't like
in
him,
there
but I
too.
I like him.
Yeah, even Don Cheadle would actually be really nice. Because honestly, I'm surprised he didn't bring him back for Magnolia. I think he would have benefited from a Magnolia
Mm,
type movie. So, yeah. But I think that's just the basis of who I want. I kind of want his old school girls back. Like I like his
sure,
old
sure.
school cast. So yeah, Mark Wahlberg does not have to come back. He can stay.
You never know though. In another 30 years, PTA could direct Mark Wahlberg in a Colonel Lockjaw type performance and surprise us all.
I highly doubt that. I mean, he literally said that he regrets doing Boogie Nights, which is my favorite movie of all time, and his peak, the best he's ever done. So
Right.
if you don't want to, if you can't accept your your greatest feat, which honestly, let's be real, fun fact, that was Leonardo DiCaprio's role
Right. Right.
before the Titanic. So
Right.
since you can't or don't want to accept greatness, why should you be in lockstep with
Yeah.
greatness? I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Hey, look, I'm in the same boat as you because Mark Wahlberg has also denounced his role in M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening, which is his
Oh,
other best performance.
okay. Okay.
You're very polite.
Yeah, very much so because I mean, I'm not too well versed in his acting. He's done some not some I guess some cute things. Cute outside of Boogie Nights, cute, but
Sure, sure.
nothing too revolutionary, pun intended.
Right, right. So, Harrison, where can people find you online?
Yes, I have a TikTok account now. I'm actually about to upload my one battle after another review. It's not great. That's why you guys need to watch this. So
Mhm.
and plus, it's a 3 hour movie, so there's a lot of thought. There were a lot of thoughts going through my head. So please don't kill me. But it should be Harris. I think it's Harrison Wyatt. I think I have it as Harrison Wyatt on TikTok. My Instagram is CHWYATT, and on Twitter. Hold on, let me pull it up. I'm gonna pull up my Twitter because I stay on Twitter. Let's see. Okay, yes, on Twitter I'm at underscore CHWYATT. Yes.
Yes, definitely check the show notes for links to where you can follow. Hey, this was, I don't know, 6 months in the making? Something,
Yes.
a very long time. We had talked about doing it, and then I messaged you and I was like, hey, you still want to do this? So I appreciate your willingness to still come on and talk about it.
Absolutely. I never forgot. I was more so nervous. I was more so nervous more than anything. But yes, I never forgot. I was just so glad that you would have me and to see that I'm on your podcast for what is the biggest film of the year even feels even more scary, but at the same time great, you know, and I just know that people are going to really enjoy this. And I just really hope that they were understanding of everything that we said and they just really respected what we had to say and just our thoughts in general.
Oh yeah, our listeners are for the most part pretty nice and chill, and yeah, I mean we'll see. People are saying this is movie of the year, so
Yeah.
time will tell. And hey, if you did enjoy listening to this, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave a comment right on the episode. Oh my gosh. You know what? You should leave us I don't know, are there any bomb emojis? Maybe something like that would be appropriate. You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Please let us know what you thought about One Battle After Another. Which one of our PTA rankings was more insane? You can send us your own. Let us know. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional episodes, our patron-only Discord. You get to vote on upcoming movies and monthly themes. Oh my gosh, that's totally insane. And you get ad-free episodes. So, you know what, folks? Inflation is crazy right now. $5, that's like the price of one piece of bubble gum. Just skip the bubble gum for one day a month and, support the show. Come on, man. What are you doing here? Anyway, Harrison, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Theme music by Jean Marie Vargas. Visit us at our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and please subscribe and rate our show wherever you are listening. You can support Movie Friends at patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Thanks for listening.